So much happened today. It's late, but I am going to stay up to record this video that cannot be missed. Today is December 8th. 8 plus 12 is 20. Power of the enemy to overcome the saints. Okay, plus 20, 25 is 9. Plus 29 becomes 11. I don't know. Maybe that means nothing at all. I was trying to record a song the other day, and I kept messing it up. But then pretty much as soon as I was done making the video, it was a little better. And I'm going to try to play this again. It's a very common song. But I made it a little bit different because there was a tutorial on how to play this. I watched it once, and then I didn't understand when she was saying to go like 1, 3, 2 or something, and then it didn't sound right. So, but I know the notes here. Okay, I still messed it up, but that's because I didn't practice. So, wow, so much happened today. So much happened today. Remember my satanic coven fake date? It wasn't, they didn't say it was a date, but it clearly was. That was yesterday, and then I mentioned I would be at the soup kitchen again on Monday. Well, they did not send this man. He must have been sleeping or something. Maybe he got in trouble. But anyways, so the volunteer who worked at the soup kitchen, so I guess you don't really work there. I think people do this for free to help out. But he previously had asked me out for a steak dinner. And this one did approach me today, and he was leaving too. And tried to, like he said, if he had his truck, then he could take me to the soup kitchen. But he didn't have it yet. Probably good, because I don't want to be rude or anything. But no, this is clearly a test. They're trying to tie me down and distract me from my restoration. And I happen to know that almost all, if not all of these people are counterfeits. Maybe one is a real person, the rest are all counterfeits. And that, what I mean is, there's a narcissist, and then there are people that work like Satanists, and it's all fake. And then possibly a guy that actually does like me, but he could also be influenced by the kingdom. So he approached me again, and I said, did you see that thing I looked up? And I told him to look something else up and ask God for his own partner, not me. And he said, no, because my soup kitchen, my soup kitchen girl or something. This is so funny. I'm not going out with you though. And he happened to be on the phone as I was leaving, which is good. So it kind of went by and left before he was wanting to talk to me longer. So I got out of there. Anyways, strange things happened today. So I guess I was feeling tired. I was up at like 10 or something, and I went back to sleep, and I set my alarm again so that I could just get ready real quick and then go to the soup kitchen, which I believe is God's new mission. I have to be this poor or I never would have went. In my last mission, then it was pretty much confirmed to me to eat the food of the people, and I believe that I was supposed to. And if I did not do that, I would not be doing the soup kitchen mission now. So I had to go ahead and eat GMOs in order to do this mission, which is very important. And so when RFK Jr. or Maha clean up the food supply, then the believers and saints that are impoverished need to have a place to go if they don't have anything to eat. Right now they don't. They are targeted. My bike got messed with again today too. My bike got messed with. My actual bike appeared to be okay. Maybe the brakes are a little damaged. Like there's a foam thing that when you squeeze the brake handles, it places pressure on. That's got cracks and it's not working too well. So I'm trying to brake and stop using my feet, like just to put my feet down a little bit, and so that I don't wear out my brake line too quickly. But that's not what has gone wrong today. I have a bike light, and this is a bike light that was gifted to me by this was gifted to me by my ride to the previous church, which was my last mission. So there was a man who took me to, he greeted me right away, immediately offered me the ride like he was waiting for me. And, you know, when I saw him, I was suspicious because the way the town he lived in was called Herod. And it looked like possibly he owned this entire town, and then there was a few like hired actors brought in occasionally to pretend like they were a real person or something. So from Herod there were two people that I can think of in the Bible. One was a wealthy financier, a female that financed Jesus, and another was King Herod. And so I kind of thought, because of that, he's probably wealthy. And then I did hear confirmation later, but I didn't care. He reached out to me. I didn't reach out to him, and I didn't even want to go to the church. It wasn't fun for me. It was boring, and it was like doing homework assignments. But I will do any mission for God. And so I thought, I just assumed he was probably the wealthy financier. Because he was actually driving me to the church, and he did take me to like Applebee's and a restaurant a couple times. But he actually didn't spend that much on me, honestly. It wasn't that, because like he took me to my high school reunion, and he said he was going to pay me back for buying the tickets, and he never did. He said he was going to take me out for my birthday to have a meal. He never did. And then it seemed like towards the end he was getting kind of frustrated with me. So, and then for my birthday, he got me some nice lights for my bicycle. And it had like a red light for the back, and it had a bright light for the front, which was white. And so like the first time I drove it, that red light disappeared. And I thought it probably just fell off because I didn't put it on tight enough. But someone could have stolen it the first time. And then on my way home from the soup kitchen, it was like 5:15 or something. It wasn't even 5:30 yet. It's getting dark. And I just use my red lights and not necessarily the other white light. But legally, I am supposed to use the white light on my bike when it is dark. I am supposed to use the white light. Well, that white light disappeared. It was gone. It was gone. Somebody stole the light right off of my bike. Now, I had some red ones that I bought on Temu, that there's just like a thing that goes around. And they just come on and off real easy. But they're not as expensive. Those were still there. But the white light that was big and was more expensive, that was gone. So the one, and so I was thinking, possibly, I was thinking too, and I mentioned like the woman from Herod, I mentioned this to this man before too. He was an usher at the church. But I never mentioned to him that he could be King Herod. And I'm thinking that maybe he was, because he got me this bike light. And see, things the kingdom of darkness gets me are allowed to be taken away. And so the red light was gone right away, and today that white light was stolen. It was taken off of my bike. It was a bright headlight for my bicycle to make it safe to bike. That was removed from my bicycle. This, possibly from King Herod, which, I kind of thought he was sabotaging things in my home so that I could get something better. Like, he would see something that I needed to be restored and I wasn't going to get rid of, so he would mess with it. Like, for example, my old trash can. The dogs could knock it over if they really wanted to. So he brought me some trash bags, but he put them in the same bag as a package of lunch meat, so they smelled like meat. So then the dogs kept knocking it over every day until I had to go and buy the elite one, which is right here now. So I thought he did that because I needed an upgrade. But he didn't buy the upgrade. I actually gave him my old one. And then while he was at my house, my stove door just broke. And you would have had to cut that metal. Like, this stove is probably like 70, 80 years old, and the door was still on it. While I went out to my shed and he was in my house, then the door got broken. So I knew that he probably did this, but I thought he did it so I could get like one of those Ivless stoves. Because that was the plan. I was going and picking out all new stuff, and I thought, like, maybe I'm not allowed to have things that are used and stuff. So I thought he was maybe sabotaging things I liked, so that would force me to look at an upgrade. It sounds strange, but he took, like, I had a flea collar on my big dog. I spent a bunch of money on this flea collar. It was like almost $70, but then I had a good coupon, so I got it like $20 off or something. But still, I couldn't afford to replace it. I believe this disappeared while he was at my house. And it had fallen off before, so I thought maybe this isn't good enough, because it was the biggest size the pet store had, but it still wasn't quite big enough. It wasn't the extra, extra large, so that it would fall off of him every once in a while. And so I thought this was taken so I could have a better solution. Well, maybe this was just King Herod breaking my stove and also having me pick out new cabinets, assuming those would be replaced, which resulted in all my stuff being out here too. And mice ruining more things and more of my house getting dirty. So I think that might have been King Herod. Now that you've been caught, you have to replace my stove, because I know that you messed with the door and broke it. Let's see. The flea collar, I need another solution now, because I caught you doing that too. And I already bought my new trash can. But anyways, I thought he was a good man, but at the same time, he lied to me, and I thought he said he was having, like, he would forget things, and then also certain beings would possess him. So he would do channeling and things, and different beings would come in. So I thought he was a good man, but he said he would forget things a lot. And so maybe he was forgetting things as if another spirit came in. So it possibly could have been both. I don't know. But anyways, I don't have a white light on my bike anymore, so I'm just going to leave as soon as the soup kitchen is closed, and hopefully the cops don't do anything, because if they do pull me over, I'll just have to say someone at the soup kitchen stole the light off of my bike. And because the sidewalks have some ice and snow on them, I ride on the road now. But I have the red lights, which actually are safer than I think the white light, because a car really sees that bright red light, and then they won't hit me. Anyways, what happened today? So I got up, I got ready real quick, I went to the soup kitchen, and I was like sniffling a little bit, and I was feeling pretty good, but just a little under the weather and stuff. And I went to sit down, and so after I got my plate, I'm kind of like just looking around. And there's usually like a lot of people, they're kind of spread out, so you might have like 3 or 4 people sitting at one of these long tables. They evenly distribute, and so I look for like a table that's got an opening, which maybe I should just sit right next to somebody next time. I think I should, because this is how they keep getting me. But anyways, I look for like a table that's got an opening, more space, that would make sense logically to sit there. And so there was one table towards the back, and then there in the middle there was like no one sitting there. Now there was a chair right across from where I sat, and it had like several bags, like larger garbage bag type things, and they were full of stuff there. And it was just sitting there and no one was there. And that's why there was an opening here. So then I sat down. And I was just kind of like eating. No one was bugging me. The guy who went on, they didn't say it was a date, but it clearly was an attempt to look like a date without saying it's a date. He was not there. He wasn't there for lunch or dinner. And I'm kind of relieved. I'm kind of relieved I didn't have to deal with that because I just got up, and I prayed real quick on the way out the door because I was already a few minutes late. I want to say the lookout for the narcissist specifically stopped and mentioned my bike lights, and he looked at them and how like I needed those or something, and then the bike light got stolen. I'm gonna say this lookout here, he is involved, and so he even said he thinks his boss is a narcissist. His boss pays him $20 a day, and his job is to look out and see if I'm at the soup kitchen and what I have that he can take. Like seriously. But anyways, they tried to get me today. And I think it failed, but they got my bike light. But this also was the bike light that King Herod, I'm just going to say King Herod, because I don't see any wealthy financier. He drove me to the church I didn't even want to go, but I had to. It was a mission. That's probably why God told him to go. He was probably taking me thinking they would destroy me, because they did cast witchcraft spells and stuff on me. I don't know, because it seemed like he kind of liked me and stuff. And, maybe, and like the first time I went out with this man to get like a meal at his favorite place, then it happened to be Father's Day and I didn't even know, but this was probably a setup. It was likely a setup, and that's what they will do. But once they start lying to you, but then you have like where you give people the benefit of the doubt, and he said that he was having memory problems and things like that. But at the same time, it's like I would see good and bad in him. So like, I saw more good, and so I thought he was a good man, but then, like, why was he not liking me? And he also mentioned that there were spells on people, so it could have been that he was under spells, actually, because he just lived by himself, from what I know. But then somebody else at the church, like, they later said he had, and I already suspected that he had another house, because, like, he was going to stay at his parents' old house, which was the same exact style that it was probably 50 years ago. And when I showed up, I was a little surprised. I didn't, but that was fine. I went over a few times. But I didn't, I thought he had to have another house somewhere, I'm just going to say. But I didn't care. I didn't care. I don't judge people on those things. And so it would make sense for someone like that to pretend like they're poor, because people treat them differently. I don't know. But then then if he's at my house and takes the flea collar and breaks my stove door, and then the bike lights he bought for me were taken, that is another sign. Because certain things are protected and certain things are not protected. And I bought my own bike lights on Temu. I'm waiting on some more to arrive that I had to charge. Like, I had to get more extra ones because I can't have them go out. It's unsafe. It's dark at 5:30. And if I'm out, like, I don't want to get run over by a vehicle. So anyways, here I am going into this again. So what happened at the soup kitchen today? Let me pull, because I don't want to forget. I wrote some of this on a notepad thing earlier. Okay, so I sat down at the spot with the opening. But there were bags sitting right across from me, and I didn't even really see them at first. Because they were just over the top of the table, so it wasn't really obvious. It wasn't really obvious that there were bags there, but it turned out. But when I sat down, I could see, because they only stuck up like this much over the table, and that's why nobody was sitting there. And these were her bags. And then I sat down. I was kind of relieved. No one was there. Soup man. Okay, this was another setup by the Kingdom of Darkness. And so, I just sit down, and some of the people that, I am a little nervous around people that, like, not, like, super nervous, but, people I don't know, just talking to them and stuff. I'm just not really comfortable, because normally I'm by myself, so I don't like to small talk, like, I don't know what's socially appropriate. Everybody seems to be evil anyway, so it doesn't matter. But, so I'd prefer to just sit down, eat my food, and be left alone. But no, I'm not allowed to do that. So then I'm eating for like 5 minutes or so. And then I think there was a man sitting there, and he sat down shortly after I did. But he was He was a seat over. He was leaving me alone. He wasn't talking to me or anything. I didn't care. Okay. Then the woman comes and sits down next to him. And so right across from me in one seat over, this woman sat. And then I got a little, like, I don't want to say afraid, but like a little nervous. But then I just continued to eat. And I was sniffing a little bit every once in a while. I did not talk to her at all. Normally, when I sit down, I do talk just a little bit to whoever is sitting near me. I did not talk to her at all. But she was probably involved in a scheme against me. It really looked like it. So I assumed that she's a high-level witch. But, you know, sometimes somebody can look evil and they can be... Well, actually, she looked good. That's what I'm saying. She looked like she was nice. But this could be a high-level witch here. So what I'm thinking, they're bringing in the big guns because the females run the show in the Kingdom of Darkness. Soup Man, don't forget about the Soup Man. Okay, this is bugging me. It's too bright. So anyways, so she sits down, and she's like kind of my height and about my build, and I think she's cute, you know, not just kind of. And she had like a voice like she was nice. And her hair was done like it was red, kind of reddish, and so her hair was well done, and she had a nicer outfit on, and her speech was like kind of cute but good, like, and so it seemed more like if she was a college student or older, but was doing well, not necessarily rich, but had enough money that she could like get her hair done and was wearing nice clothes and didn't really need to be at the soup kitchen. And she had some sunglasses on the whole time. She didn't take them off. So she had these black sunglasses on. They were super black, so you couldn't see where her eyes were. You couldn't see what she was looking on. They were like this, and they completely covered her eyes and all around her eyes. Like they went right up against her face. So you couldn't see what she was looking at. Super dark sunglasses. And she sits down like so she's like right here. And then I felt a little nervous. Like, then she's like about my size or whatever, probably. But anyways, what I believe is that she had those sunglasses on and was looking at me and studying me. And was trying to get me, was involved in that. So, normally when I sit down, you know, to eat, I take my sunglasses off. But they weren't even like slightly tinted. These were like super dark black sunglasses. So obviously I think she was looking at me. Maybe trying to do some weird witchcraft. But she had like a sweet college girl voice. Like, you know, like a nice... But maybe she was in her 20s or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm in my 40s. She could be in her 30s. But to me, she looked more like college age. She had that kind of voice like a college student that was just like middle class type thing. And I think she was watching me. And she was there next to another man who was like older and slender. But anyways, I went through the line. I got my food, and then I got a cup of coffee. Then there was a soup man there. He was a part of the setup too. So the narcissist lookout, the soup man who made the soup, and the woman that sat across from me were all involved. And also the man that was behind me was the one that tried to date me and tried to get me before. But they don't really want to date me. They want to destroy my life. That's what they want to do. It's not. It's fake. It's a counterfeit. But anyways, she had a soup. So the soup man actually, he saw me and he mentioned to make the soup, and I didn't have enough free hands. I cannot leave my tray. I cannot leave my drinks. At this point, every time I do, someone poisons it. So I'm not stupid. I'm not doing... They just did this the day before. They just did this yesterday. So then I had my tray. I already had a drink on one of the compartments on my tray. It had juice in it. And so now I have to be careful because the volunteer who is trying to date me is serving the drinks. Anyways, this juice was on my tray. And then I said, I gotta make a choice and I gotta go with the coffee. I gotta get the coffee. I said, I'll come back and I'll get the soup. I told him I will. But I gotta get the coffee now. So, and she was sitting down. And then I'd eaten most of my food. And I was looking at the soup man. And I was thinking about it. And she was probably thinking I would ask her to watch my food so I could go get a bowl of soup. Because I had done that before. But these people turned out to be enemies. So I did not do, but even if they're enemies, they're not that bad. They get paid or they get bribed or something, or a spirit in them does something to me, but it's not that bad. So like if they poison my food, I don't die, you know. Um, I know it's not safe, but I'm saying is it's kind of like a minor prank. Well, I mean, is they could have done something a lot worse, but it's not good. So I was kind of looking that way. I did not leave my tray. I did not leave my drink. I finished almost all of my food, and I was kind of eating slowly. And it's like she was sitting there. They were kind of just waiting, and I did not get up. I did not leave my tray. I did not ask her to watch my tray. At some point, the soup man, who was involved in this, by the way, came over and brought her soup. Said, "Sorry, you had to wait." So apparently he was out, or he had to get a bowl or something. And then he brought it to her. And then it made it like it was just drawing more attention to the soup man, and I needed to go get a bowl of soup. So then after I finished my food, and I drank like my juice, and I drank my coffee. Then I was gonna go up, get another cup of coffee. So see, the soup man noticed that I liked the coffee. I was a coffee drinker, and I also had my tray. So I had my tray, and I had my coffee cup. But at this point, I had eaten enough food that I could put a bowl of soup on the tray in an empty compartment. And so knowing that I like coffee, then I went up. And he said he normally leaves by now. He was there later today for me. He stayed later, specifically to make sure I got some soup. And what happened is I went to refill my coffee cup, and I turned the spigot, and just like a little bit of coffee is coming out. Somebody has it's empty. This was the last, they only make 2 carafes a day is what I heard. And so this was the last of it. So then I pulled the tap up, and it was just a little bit coming out real slow. I stood there for like 2 minutes, and I filled my cup, and I got the very last of it. So like most people, when I saw it, it was like empty, but it was still coming, just a little trickle. So I just stood there, and I waited. And another guy came up behind me. He was probably trying to get me too. But he was standing behind me, and I wasn't leaving. I continued to fill my cup. I stood there for a couple minutes. There wasn't enough for him. But it was probably like the socially appropriate thing to do at that point would be to just leave, because there's someone waiting behind you. But there wasn't enough for both of us. And that would only result in me not getting a coffee. So then I just stood there. And, I took my time, and then, it took like 2 minutes to fill, like, my little styrofoam cup, the little ones like this big. Then I filled it up, put the thing in, and then I told him I just want a small bowl, because I'm really not, so I'm kind of stuffed, so I just have a little bit, because he was telling me how he made it, and he gets in trouble, people don't like it, and I said, oh, it's good, it's just, and I said, I'll take more if I can take it with me. You should have a container. I said, no, just give me a little bit, because I said, I got this chicken left, which you saw me feed my dogs. I said, I got to take this with me, but I want to try this. I said, it's good. And then, so basically, I was filling my cup a long time, and I said, well, actually, do you have a piece of foil so I can take this chicken home? And he said, yeah, I'll go get it. And while he was back there, he brought a styrofoam cup full of coffee, and he sat it down next to me. This is a setup, guys. Listen. And this coffee is real hot when it comes out. This is part of what they did. So he had a coffee in the back. A brand new cup of coffee poured before I got mine, just sitting in the back, like where the volunteers are. He brought it out, and he said, they had this one in the back. It's the very last one. He brought it for me. But I just filled my cup to the top, so I didn't really need this. I was like, oh, thank you. I put it on my tray, because at this point it would have been highly rude to not take it, but I did not drink it. This was a setup they did. They drained that coffee knowing that I liked it, and I always get another cup. They drained it so he could bring me the gift of the last coffee in the whole soup kitchen, which they never do this. And so, like, the woman they had many opportunities they were trying to get me. If I left my tray to go get another coffee, they were going to do something to my food. If I asked her to watch my tray, they were going to do something to my food. So anyways, and then they tried to drain all the coffee so that I wouldn't have any. So that when he brought me the free cup of coffee, that I would drink it. But no, I sat there for like 2 minutes while a little trickle came out and filled up my cup. And so then I had 2 cups on my tray, and I went to sit down. And then, so the lookout for the narcissist, he's the one that saw my bike lights. He's working with the narcissist to time things and to get me. I am not stupid. He is also an addict. Clearly, he does not have teeth. But he is still an addict because he just falls asleep sometimes at the soup kitchen. Anyways, you can tell when somebody is on drugs. I've seen him clearly on drugs, so I know he is still an addict. He seems like a nice guy. Like, if he wasn't on drugs, he would be fine. Somebody else said this too. Like, oh, they do all this stuff, but, you know, they'll steal or whatever. But that's while they're on the drug. When they're not on it, they don't do it. That's right, because spirits go in their body. Like, going on the drug is actually just sorcery that allows these spirits to go in. That's how it works. That's what it is. It's sorcery. Just like your pharmaceuticals are lesser magic, but they're still sorcery. Anyways, so then I sat my tray down, and he was right there at the end of my table. He was at the table I was at, but he was at the end. And I was like maybe 5 seats over or something. And I said, you know what? They just gave me the very last cup of, I see you like coffee. And I said, they gave me the last cup of coffee in the house, and then I just got this one. And he said, oh, I thought I drained the coffee. He thought he got the rest of it. So he thought he had a cup with like half full of coffee. And so he thought he drank, like he emptied the carafe. So there was none left. So that when I went up, I would get the free cup and drink it. He was also involved in this. And so then the cup that they gave me, which was either poisoned or had a curse on it, I gave to him. I'm like, oh, look, they gave me this, and I got 2 here. And this is new. I didn't drink out of it. And I put it in front of him, and he was smiling and like happy. But this is the weird thing. So he was involved in trying to give me this drink for some reason. If it was poisoned, had a drug in it, or if it just had a spell on it. But the spell was on me, so that's likely. If it had a spell on it, if it was cursed, but that wouldn't affect him. It would only affect me. So like I gave it to him, and he was involved in this. He was involved in draining the coffee machine, so that I wouldn't. But no, I sat there, and a little tiny trickle came out and filled up my cup, so I got it anyways. Let's see what else happened. Oh, and then after I left, then the volunteer came out, and he was, and I said, you know, like, you know, God's made somebody for you, you know, go ask for that, that's better than, he's like, I don't want that, I want my soup kitchen girl, and he just tried to offer me a ride, even though he doesn't have a vehicle yet, so, and I'm being nice to him, but I am declining. Okay, I'm being nice, but I'm declining. I'm not going to be mean to anybody. But then I also saw somebody in the back that was volunteering too, and they're looking, and they have kind of like that NPC look, which is probably a different type of being that has less emotion than a human, now that I'm thinking about it. And they were looking at me like they're involved too. So behind the counter serving is you have believers and you have some enemies. They're both back there. Enemies always infiltrate. So that's why you have to be careful. Any organization, any charity gets infiltrated by the enemy, and they will slander, smear people, look like they're helping but not really help. So that's why I know now all of these charities need an honest believer that'll swear on the Bible, that'll swear to God, and they will do a good job. They will go through and make sure that things are getting taken care of, because narcissists will come in and sabotage and make it look like everything's fine. Tell everybody everything's fixed, or this person is being unreasonable and they don't need any help. So this is what's happening in our charities. So anyways, let's see what happened. What happened next? And I biked. Let's see if something else happened. I don't like how bright this is, so yeah, so the soup man, the narcissist lookout, and this woman I'd never seen before, who sat kind of across from me and over one seat, were involved in this. And then behind me was another man, the one who tried to bully me and ask me out. And then, like, after Betty left, he was like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing good or something? And I said, yeah, I'm doing good. And then, you know. And at that point, you know, then I just he said a sentence to me normally. I said a sentence to him normally, and I left. Let's see here. Soup man. So they were hoping that I would get up or I would be done eating sooner, but I really wasn't hungry because I just got up and then I went to the soup kitchen. So I kind of took my time and I was stuffed. Let's see. Oh, there's a woman that works or volunteers there, and she could be a witch, or she could, because she offered. She seemed like she was nice and gave. It's just like they were putting food on the tray, and then it was just a little bit of potatoes. It wasn't as much as it should be, and they weren't necessarily done, but they might have been. And she's like, "Oh, do you want more? You want more?" And I said, "Yeah." And then they put another scoop. So that was probably the actual size it was supposed to be. But I don't know if she is working. She looks like she might be a witch, but maybe she's good. Because the thing is, like, there are people that are witches that look like they're good. So it's possible there are people that are good that look like they're witches. Now, I just look like I'm naive and a pushover to everybody else. They like to try to get me, but they fail every time. Let's see. And then I also mentioned... and then she was standing right there, and right next to the potatoes, which were really good, by the way, there was this spinach, and it looked yummy. And I had it before, and I took a bite, and I couldn't eat anymore because it had pieces of bacon in it. So I had to repent before God and like spit a piece out in my napkin. That's fine if it's an accident, you know. You just don't continue eating it, you know. And then I said, I don't eat ham. But I said, it looks good. I said, but it looks good. And so I said that. So maybe they'll make it without ham at some point. And there are other people. And let's see here. Okay, so I came back home. I was going to give the chicken to my dogs. Then I ended up not having time to do it. And actually, so there was a guy for the internet service that came over. And, of course, he messed up my order. He said it was new. He seemed like he was a young man, maybe in his 20s, and the blonde hair and stuff. And he was acting a little egotistical, like a Disney prince a little bit. But he was also kind of nice, too. So it's like people can be a mix. None of us are perfect. I look at my videos from a year ago. I'm a lot cooler now. Anyways, everybody gets better. But, you know, he didn't know how to do a lot of things with his job. He said he was new. That is clear. Because, you know, he didn't know how to add my phone service to the internet. And so that wasn't done. And then I went and I looked and I saw they had a faster speed that he didn't tell me about. And I said, give me this one. And then it was taking so long because he didn't know how to do it that I went out to my shed and I found one of the items. So I sold an item. And I needed to ship it. And I said, okay, this is taken like a half hour, and then I was running out of time to do what I needed to do. And I said, okay, just send me this one, and I'll be back. And so I went, and I was gone for like 15 minutes, and I came back. And then I saw I got the email, and then I filled it out, and then I came out and whatever. Well, I told him to change my internet from 1 gig to 2 gig. I said, just give me I said, wait, you got 2 gig? I want 2 gig. And he didn't know how much it cost. I did. And then this evening, I go on there, it's like 10 o'clock, and I look, I was supposed to get a $200 card with my 2 gig, and then he only did a $100 card. So, but he did say he was new. And this is the thing, is it the benefit of the doubt, or is it spirits again, causing me trouble, where I got to double check, because this was like the 3rd time that he sent it, so I just assumed it was right. No, it was wrong again. And then I tried to call their customer service, and they closed a couple hours before, so I couldn't get a hold of them tonight and let him know. It says right there on their website I was supposed to get a $200 gift card with the 2 gig service. And then on my order it said $100. And he didn't know how to add the phone. Like, of course, this is another problem. Probably more demonic activity. I don't know. If I have to, I might have to cancel this. But then I don't want to lose like any deal I got. But they need to fix this. Let's see. And maybe they will. Maybe they will fix it. I mean, like, any problem I could possibly have, I will have. Okay, so now, I don't like it. This is like bright white on my screen. I don't like it. So, I went back to the soup kitchen for dinner. And, I went back to the soup kitchen for dinner. There was some people there I probably should have talked to, but at that time, it wasn't appropriate. If they do come back, I don't think they will. If they do come back, it might be appropriate to talk to them or someone else in the office about what is going on. But maybe I need to be here longer first. But if my bike gets broken, then I'm pressing charges and the police are coming in. Because, someone steals I'm telling them, actually, somebody stole my bike light. Pull up the camera. This is like, because the guy that I was told to report these things to before was an enemy. Did he even look at the camera? Maybe not. I don't know. He didn't tell me. He wasn't there. I told him to look at the camera. Never heard from him. Didn't see him again. Maybe he is there in the back somewhere. A lot of the volunteers, they only come in once a week. They don't come in every day because they're not paid. But there are enemies back there. They are involved in keeping believers out of the soup kitchen. This is a big, this has been taken over by the kingdom of darkness. A resource that people in the community could use has been taken over. And like Trump says, they're releasing these people and terrorizing. Yes, because the addict might be fine when they're not on drugs. But spirits enter them, and those spirits target, or they're bribed, and they target believers when they come in. So, I was there for dinner, and of course, it's the usual. Like, there might be a couple of soft-spoken people that keep to themselves, don't cause any trouble. They might have some type of mental problem or something like that. But normally, it's addicts and alcoholics, and there is a woman that I thought she was on drugs, but I think she actually has some type of mental disorder. But she seems really happy. She's like, she's real happy and makes funny noises and smiles a lot. So she might be crazy. So I think there's a crazy woman, because I asked someone else and they said it's not drugs, there's a crazy woman that goes there. So there were different volunteers behind the counter at the soup kitchen today. Oh dear. Oh my goodness. So there was 2 or 3 women, they were maybe in their 30s, and they had their young children. They had 2 or 3 young children there. This was not the best idea. They didn't know. They didn't know what I know. And that's why maybe if I could talk to someone like that and let them know what's going on here. Is God is using me to retake this, but I'm going to end up I don't want to lose my bike, because this is how I get everywhere. So if it gets broken, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have the police and everything come in, and I'm going to tell them. I will have the police come into that office and file a report. I sure as heck will. If my bike gets destroyed while it's at the soup kitchen, if my seat is missing from my bicycle, police are coming in, and I'm going to say, I need a ride home. And I need a ride here back again. And they don't have to offer it. But this is what and then if that happens, I'm telling everything. I'm going to the mayor's office, because at that point I'm already right downtown. So then I'm going into the government office and I'm filing a complaint and letting them know what is going on. So you guys want to fuck with my bike? That is end game right there, because I have all the knowledge and information. So you come against me, you fail. But if you ruin my bike, and I don't have money to buy another, then that's it. Then I'm just going to go tell everybody. I'm going to go tell everybody. I'm going to go to the government office, too. And I actually did notice some people in that government office that actually wanted to help. Yeah, I did. I noticed some good people in the city government building. Now, of course, they didn't help me and nothing went through because everything is spiritually, supernaturally blocked. But still, I'm going to tell all of them, and I'm going to schedule an appointment with the mayor. I sure as heck will, if I can. No, I will. I will tell them. And so you better not mess with my bike again. But I'm going in there tomorrow, and I am telling them, check your cameras, check your camera. I want to, look at the footage. I'm telling all of them. Somebody stole my bike light. So anyways, there was 3 women, and they brought, these are these sweet little kids, they were 7 years old or something. They brought their little kids. They were behind the counter serving people. And so, and the women they were kind of, I want to say, they were kind of fancy-ish, or maybe they were conservative Christians, is my guess. And they were obviously a little uncomfortable. And not incredibly so, but I could tell this is not what they expected. They expected to come in and see people down and out, destitute, needing help, and grateful and appreciative to be served food. That is not what they saw. They saw a building full of addicts and alcoholics. And then there's a larger man. It seems nice. I never see him speak. He actually seems like maybe he's not. he keeps to himself, doesn't really say anything, comes in the soup kitchen every day and eats, and I don't know, maybe there's something going on there. Like maybe he's got autism or something. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But he actually looks like he's not causing trouble. But then again, a lot of other people look like they weren't causing trouble, and they were. So I don't trust any of them. I don't trust any of you guys. Because everybody, everything, and everyone is used to come against me. Really, this is what it is. Very few have actually wanted to help. Very few. Not even my family. Nobody. Not the charities, nothing. Now, I did meet a couple people that looked like, but then witchcraft and stuff gets used against them and it turns them away. Because they don't know how to protect themselves, I guess. So these women brought their little kids, okay, and then the addicts come through, and if they're like on drugs or just in withdrawal, or they're just mentally not all there, they're kind of little zombified, okay? Not incredibly so, but they weren't behaving like just people that were poor and needed help. No, they were clearly addicts or alcoholics, okay, that were coming through. And it was probably everything, except for maybe this one man I talked about. That something else is going on, but he looks pretty normal though. And then, and I actually sat in the front row facing the servers this time. So I could tell that they were a little uncomfortable, like they thought this was not what their children were going to experience bringing them. They probably thought, you bring your kids to the soup kitchen, and this is something that believers do, and they help feed the hungry. Well, what they exposed their children to were a bunch of addicts. And then there was a woman came up right by the soup kitchen counter. Like she was a couple feet away from these volunteers and their young children. And she said something like, kick their ass, or she didn't say an F word. I said the F word today. Okay, but she said some cuss word. She said something rude, like she wanted to kick someone's ass, or tell her I'm going to kick their ass. And she says this and walks right past those little kids. And she's clearly an addict or a prostitute or something. And then she goes and sits down. So this was highly inappropriate in front of children. Now here's the thing. Mentally, she might not have been able to comprehend this. But the demons inside of her did, which is why they specifically walked right in view of these children and in earshot of them and said it. That's what I'm saying. The addicts, the human, might be harmless. The demons get in the body. They terrorize the people. So then the children were seeing this offensive behavior, serving, and it wasn't being appreciated because addicts don't appreciate anything except their next fix. And the demons come in, then they attack the believers. So, anyways, this was inappropriate, and then I came up and I was real nice, and I said some nice things to those kids, too. And then when they called seconds, I went up. And so I was just being nice, and I said, oh, thank you for that. And I said, may I have some salad? I just talked to them nice. Okay, the addicts don't say this. Everybody else just wanders up zombified, and some people walk by and they're cussing. Okay, so anyways, that was nice. And they were cleaning the tables and doing this too. So I thought the mothers wanted to bring their kids here to teach them to help others. But that is not. They actually didn't know. And I didn't know that it would be all addicts either. I thought some. No. I think all of them. Everyone there. They have taken it over. And that's what I'm saying. And they're narcissists too. And the narcissists are paying the addicts to get me out of there. And to get they are, I don't know how much money they're spending to send people to try to date me. Like the spells they had to do to make that much love magic. It clearly was. Like, oh my goodness, all of the people involved in this, what is this, a CIA operation, which is the coven, the big coven, the secret coven, well, anyways, they are all trying to get me, and most of it, it's not necessarily that one person does something that bad, but, like, they're all trying to get me, they each do something little, like, oh, let me give you something, and then I take it and I'm cursed, and so now, then I don't take it, and then they don't try it again, but now they've exposed themselves as an enemy. But they could possibly change. Like, if they see that I don't lose, then they could see how weak their side is. Maybe I could inspire them or something. I don't know. God's got me there. This is the job that no one else... I said, God, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Well, here I am, doing whatever God wants me to do. And so I was very polite to those boys. And I also said to the mama cat that's behind that counter, I said that, so at dinner, normally they have one meat. This time they had two meats. They had the ham. Next to it they had a beef, a roast beef. And they might have done this because I was coming. I was coming. Just to say Mama Cat might have done that. But see, everybody, like the addicts, everybody love her. Like, they speak so highly of her. So I think she really is a good person. She's giving out the food. She thinks about what people need and stuff like that. And if they have dietary restrictions. And so then they had ham and roast beef. And I said, this was so good. I said, you got some chefs back there. Probably made him uncomfortable. But actually, the food's normally not, like, great. But actually, a lot of times it's better than what I know how to do. Seriously, like, the food's pretty darn... And the chicken, like, and the potatoes today... And then they had mashed potatoes for dinner, and yeah, it's probably just instant. But like the food, actually, for the most part, and like somebody made these like chocolate cookie things, and then the cake, like it's good, it's good. And the addicts are coming in; they probably can't even taste it. They don't even know. And then poor people, that maybe they can afford food, but then they can't afford other things. Like they should be able to come here too, and they can't. And it's for the reasons I've said. Is my bike gets vandalized, what happens to their property? And you can't leave you leave your tray and then they put poison in it? Well, I've been exposed to this stuff, so I probably do have a tolerance, but also know what it does. I recognize, like, the feeling. It's not real. It probably were trying to give me, so the poison the first time in the weird way, like it made me feel, I recognize, like, the way that it felt, I think this was their anxiety poison, or maybe had anxiety spell or something on it. So they can poison things, put spells on it, put it in your food. But it doesn't feel like anxiety. It's just kind of like a yucky feeling, or like weird. It's not anxiety, but it's probably the closest thing they can manufacture. I think this is what they did. And that same day, the guy behind, one of the volunteers, said, I know you're afraid, but... And I said, I'm not afraid. So I'd counter that was his spell. And then this was the day, I think this was the same day someone put that poison, which I noticed the feeling. This was kind of like the magic that my ex-narcissist used on me at the discard phase, where he used, and he said, you're going to be anxious, and then he did the spell. And it was like really a yucky, like dark, yucky feelings. Now, it's not anxiety, but I didn't like it. And so, I prayed, and like at first it was the most, and then it was less and less and less. So I think once you experience it, then you do get kind of a tolerance to their magic spells. Well, I've got quite a tolerance now. I do. And so I noticed it, and I was feeling like weird, like kind of weird, and then but then it kind of started to go away, and I didn't eat, I just had like a couple bites, so then I was fine by the time I left, because I knew what it was, and I stopped eating it. But if you continued to eat your food, and thought like you just felt bad for some other reason, like, so these women are probably not going to bring their children back again. But if I had the chance, I would like to tell them, go and petition the Trump administration to put the addicts in the Trump mental institution. And also, Kingdom of Darkness has taken over the soup kitchen, and regular people are afraid to come here. These people should be in the mental institutions. Instead, they are taking over all of the charities. And then they got their narcissists running the charities and blocking us from getting help. So, I guess if this is a big stinger operation, they're all getting caught, and they're all going to go down. And of course, I get home, I feed the chicken, I record feeding my dogs the chicken, and then I got a call from my father, and it's about this court case. Yeah, next week, I got a trial date with my ex-narcissist. Basically, like, I made a whole long video about this binder. He mailed me a binder. I think, like, he killed his first lawyer. I believe 99% he killed his first lawyer. Now, of course, I have not proven this in a court of law. But, I would say a 99.9999% believe that he killed his lawyer. And then there was another one, which I didn't even know, except for it showed up, like, you can go onto this website and look if there's any updates. And then there was, like a lawyer quit or something, or was dismissed. So, the abbreviation that was used with this other, it was a whole new name, a whole different lawyer that I'd never heard of before. And so they either quit or were fired. Something happened. So I don't even think he has a lawyer. I really don't. Maybe he's got another one. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And he's not just suing me. He's like suing a woman that works for the Treasury, too. This is nuts. It's probably going to help me out because I don't have a lawyer. All of the burden of proof lies on him. Anyways, I talked to my father for a while. I was going to boycott, not answer at all. But for some reason, then, I just washed my hands after feeding the dogs the chicken, and the phone rang, and I kind of walked towards it, and I just felt like I'll answer it. Even though I decided I was not going to talk to my enemies anymore, I thought, maybe I'll answer this. I didn't know who it was. I walked up and I saw who it was. So I picked it up. Even though I didn't plan on it, I picked it up. And it's probably because I was supposed to. So anyways, but he was involved in taking my children from me. They were all involved. The children actually, they sold out. It wasn't even really their fault, though. I'm going to say, like, one of them, she went through the rituals as like a toddler. I can't. And it's like she goes back and forth between loving and wanting to destroy me, but now she's gone. So that's what I mean. Like, they didn't really have a chance, because I didn't know if they went camping with their father, or if they went to visit their grandparents, they were going to do rituals on them. I didn't know this. Then my oldest got her with some mosquito virus. No! Stupid it's going to restart. Got her to sell out. Oh my gosh. Sorry, give me a minute here. I had to change it so it didn't restart right now. It was going to restart. So then he got her with some like weird mosquito virus that only affected a couple other children. She was in a coma in the hospital. Of course, she wakes up. She probably had to sell out to come back and to be healthy. So I understand. Okay, they didn't really have a chance. This was all planned. It was all orchestrated. And I think they could be prodigal children, long time off, or maybe a couple years, or maybe a year, or maybe 20 years. They're going to come back, I believe. I truly believe. The magic doesn't last forever. And so I don't know. I don't really feel bad, though, just because I was attacked, and like my life was made horrible for so long that like it's kind of a relief to get away. I'm just going to say, but that doesn't mean that I don't care about them. But I also understand God has made it clear that we are to be apart right now. That's what they need, and that's what I need. That doesn't mean I don't care about them. But I understand being obedient to God is to separate myself from them at this time. As they had to sell out, but they did. They had to do it. Probably the option was to die or to sell out, and to sell out was better. Because she's still there sometimes, I believe. Anyways, what am I saying? This is a dog right here. So I talked to him, something about the trial, a bunch of weird stuff about that. So probably another attack here, trying to guilt trip me. They usually try to get information. I give them a little bit, even though I shouldn't. So I wasn't trying to answer it, because if he's being used to get me. But, it might be the only ride I have to get to the trial, which I have to show up at. I mentioned to someone else that I needed a ride, but I didn't hear. Then they weren't at the food kitchen today. They weren't at the soup kitchen today. So then, maybe they're not going to come back in time, and so this might be my only option. I did ask, hey, no, get out of there, get out. Don't do that. I take these napkins to use as tissues because I don't have any money. And so he gets them and then chews them up and dumps them all over the floor. he was throwing a tantrum because I wasn't rubbing his back right then. So he was about to take my tissues and dump them on the floor. These dogs are so spoiled. Anyways, so then I noticed the thing with Spectrum, and there's another thing with the gas company. So this is what I didn't mention yet. So the gas company. I have natural gas at my house. It has electric and gas. Put them together, it's about $200 a month for both. It's just me. I keep my heat low. It seems like the power bill is just as much as the gas in the winter. And the gas is what heats the house. But anyways, then I looked, while the guy was here for the internet. Then he was taking a long time, so I opened my mailbox, looked in there, and then I got something from my gas company, and so this is first request. They need access to my property, because if they probably tried to walk back there and they see my dogs, then they can't get into my yard, because I have a fenced-in yard and my dogs are back there. So they have sent where I need to schedule an appointment on here. I need to schedule an appointment for them to come out and look at my meter. And this says that if they need to access my gas meter by next month. Okay. And they said they just need to check some. Okay, it can only take a couple minutes. Or it might take all day. Who knows? I heard different things. But canceling or rescheduling could result in the gas being shut off, which is used to heat my house, if the work is not completed by the date. And also, I don't want any Wi-Fi stuff. So I'm going to make sure they don't put any of that on here. No Wi-Fi in my house. No. No, not allowed. So anyways, I need to speak to them. So this basically, I just needed to tell them, okay, that they want me to schedule an appointment, which they probably won't even come at that time. They'll just come sometime during that day, which I have to leave. I have to leave to go and get my food at the soup kitchen. So, and they don't do it on the weekend. So while I need to go eat my breakfast and my dinner, then they're going to come here, okay, unless they come exactly when the appointment is, okay? So I don't have a cell phone either. So I can't even be at the soup kitchen and come back either, because I'm going. I'm going to go there. I'm going to get my food. And so maybe I'll just schedule this for, maybe I'll schedule it for next month. But basically, I can't have the dogs out in the yard. So they want me to schedule an appointment where my dogs are locked in the house. And then I talked to the woman. She said, and normally, you know, and it only takes like a couple minutes, but it could be something that takes all day. Normally, people just put their animals in the house all day for us to come. I said, I can't do. No, I said, no, I need a note on there to say they need to knock on the door so I can put my dog door in, and then they can come in. And then she couldn't do that. And I'm trying to get through this woman, like, this is automated. And I'm trying to tell her, no, I can't let my dogs loose, and I can't leave them locked in the house all day. And they probably won't even show up. And they're probably going to try to install some Wi-Fi thing on here. So at this point, I was mad. You know, and I just felt like cussing right at that moment. So I sat on the woman, I was trying to schedule something. And I'm saying, I just need you to can you put a note on there that they have to knock on my door so that I can put my dogs away? You know, I have to be notified. Like, when they show up here, they have to knock on the door. And then I need a couple minutes. Then they can come in. She couldn't do it. And so then, like, at that point, I said something like, I live by myself. I don't have a cell phone. I don't have any friends. I don't have any family. I don't have a vehicle. I need somebody to fucking knock on my door and let me know so my dogs don't get out. And then she hung up on me. She hung up on me. This fucking bitch hung up on... I'm sorry. I don't like to say that word. But, like, she's not listening. So then this was divine appointment. This was by God. Because normally I am so polite. The scammers, the spam calls, they call me every day and I'm nice to them. I say, oh, this doesn't work. This is a scam. I said, I just talked to them like that. Okay, I'm not rude. This time I said, I need somebody to fucking knock on my door so my dogs don't get loose. She hung up. This was from God. God inspired me to get mad and say fuck on the phone. She immediately hung up. Then I called right back and I said, this woman I talked to hung up on me. And that is inappropriate. And I said, yes, I was frustrated. But I said, I need somebody to knock on my door before they enter my property so my dogs don't get loose. And then he had like a Mexican type accent or something. He was being nice. And I was like, I'm sorry I'm being frustrated with you. I'm not happy this person hung up on me. I said, it's very important my dogs don't get loose. I don't have anyone that can watch them. I don't have a cell phone. You know what he did? He gave me a number for a specialist. So I can call the specialist and I can actually speak to a person. This is what I mean. God inspired me. Get mad and cuss, because this woman, if you schedule an appointment with her, then they're going to cancel, they're going to reschedule, they're going to turn off your gas, which is going to cut the heat in your house, or they're going to open the gate and let your dogs out. So I said fuck, she hung up, and then I got a different man. And this man, he said, I don't know about that, but I got the number of a specialist to call them tomorrow during business hours. Or call whenever. So now, this is what God does. I never cuss at people on the phone. I cussed at this woman because, no, my dogs are not getting out of my yard. And you think you're going to turn off the heat in my house because I just need you to knock on my door before you come in? Fuck You. And Enbridge gas. This is the same with all of you fuckers. It's everything is automated and we get fucked. We get fuck, fuck, fuck. Now you're gonna cancel my video? Nobody watches these anyways. No, we need to actually speak to a person. Like this guy today, I'm about to cancel my order, but then they'll probably get rid of my, like where they have free installation and they give you a gift card. Because it's still pending. Like if I try to cancel this, because I could get like a $65 credit if I order again using Rakuten or something. This is like cashback service. If I just go on their website and order this myself, then I'll get a $65 credit too. And I'll actually get the $200 gift card that I was supposed to get. So maybe I'll do that. But the thing is, since I already had a pending order, then see, I think he did sit here. He did, but he caused me so much trouble. It should have been really fast and easy. So I said he was new. He didn't know how to do it. I had to look up. I had to tell him to do the 2 gig. And then he still put in the wrong gift card. So, maybe I should cancel it, but then make sure that I get... But then they'll try not to give me this. This is nuts. Just everyone screws me over. So, yeah, I'm the nicest person ever. But when it comes to getting into my yard and potentially letting my dogs loose, you are not going to do that. And I spent more than $70 to renew their tags. And I don't have money, but I did. And, I had to get this house for my dogs. You think that I need heat because of my little dog. She needs heat. She can't live without heat. So you are putting my life at risk and my dog's life at risk because I can't speak to a person. Well, maybe I'm glad I said fuck you, lady, because this, and this is the thing. She was probably doing her job just right. So the internet company, you guys, you understand the type of stress and trouble you're causing for people? Because you can't just say, I need you to knock on my door first. Some people have dog doors. They leave their animals out. And you can put these animals at risk. Because when you schedule an appointment, they might show up sooner. They might show up later. They send a text when they're on their way. Because they don't show up at the actual appointment time. And then it's only during the days where the soup kitchen is on. So I need to go get my food. So maybe I should just put a lock. I should put a lock on the gate so they can't open it. And a note or something. Because, I am eating now, and I'm not here. You should have showed up during your appointment. I don't know how to say this. And I'm going to call the specialist. I'm going to say, I don't have any money. I go to the soup kitchen to eat. I don't have a cell phone. So, if you show up while I'm at the soup kitchen, I'm not going to be there. And you can't turn off my heat. This is nuts. Like, they won't show up during their appointment. So that's what I mean. I need to talk to a specialist. I have a bicycle. I don't have a cell phone. I won't get the text if I'm out, and I can't see it on my computer. So, and the thing that makes this really bad is if they don't get it, serviced by a certain date. If they don't get it serviced by a certain date, they can turn off your gas, which heats my house. I am by myself. And, God blocks anyone from talking to me or coming over or anything. So the only people that have been able to come over are enemies. And that's why King Herod, you're King Herod, you're not the wealthy financier. And you lied when you said we were going to go out to eat for my birthday. Just messed it up again. This is how I feel about you, gas company. Internet guy, gas company, person that stole my bike light, ex-narcissist suing me. Enbridge gas company. Okay, thanks for watching. God bless you all.